Welcome to DubLife Diaries, the podcast where passion meets the open road. I'm Joe Person, your host, and also a lifelong dubber. Buckle up, because this ride is just beginning. This podcast is sponsored by Volksmania Magazine. Good times, great cars, awesome Volksmaniacs. Visit Volksmania.com to learn more about this class-leading VW magazine. All right, welcome back to DubLife Diaries. Today's episode starts with a card box. Not a shop, not a budget, not a plan, just the name, Bug-O-Rama, and someone else's abandoned dream sitting on a box of junk. And instead of walking away, today's guest said, yeah, I'll take that. Fast forward a decade, that box turned into one of the most respected VW festival movements in the Midwest, a legit 501c3 nonprofit, nearly a dozen events a year. Damn, dude, I know what it takes to put events together. Live music, camping, axe throwing, food trucks, not just trophies, parking lots. Over $90,000 has been raised for children and veterans. Damn, dude. Happy for you guys. All that built by a lifelong gearhead who still cruises his 63 Beetle named Cherry Bomb. Boom, it's sitting behind me. A 46 Plymouth he's owned since he was 11, and a fastback called the F-Bomb. Can't wait to hear why. Still coming to life. He's not chasing clout. He's not selling hype. He's building culture, and he's using cars as his vehicle to give back. Today we're talking legacy, philanthropy, car culture, and what most car shows get wrong, and what it really takes to turn passion into something that outlives you. This is DubLife Diaries. Kurt Siegrist, welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing?
What's up, brother? What's up, man?
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, man, no problem. I got your history, and I was like, yes, this is what we look for. This is what the community is all about. Real quick, man, before we get started, I want to give just a couple shout outs to some sponsors. First up on the list, Volksmania Magazine. Everybody knows how I feel at this point. They're on my shirt, flyest VW magazine on the face of the planet. It's because of the people, also because of the talent. It's a very quality product, but the people, just like our community, amazing. Paul Cave and the team. Shout out to them. Volksmania.com. If you are not a subscriber in the US, hit them up. DubLife 10 at checkout. Get you 10% off your first issue or your subscription. Also, a quick shout out to the Salty Dub. From the beach to the bay, Salty Dub is tearing up the coastal VW scene. We put on events and, got some swag on the website. Right now, we've got V-Dubs on the pier coming up just 48 hours out. Super excited about that. So anyway, saltydub.com, events and swag down here in West Coast, Central Florida. Last shout out is to my buddy Jason Davis, Davis Customs down in Sanford, or should I say up in Sanford. Henry's Depot just had the VW car show this past weekend. What an amazing turnout. Guys did a great job up there, so shout out to them. Davis Customs up there in Sanford. This is your Rust superstar. That's what this guy specializes in. Jason Davis, look him up. Give him some love. All right. My buddy, back to you, man. Back to you. What's up, Kurt?
Just chilling, man. Just hanging out, waiting for the snow to come in.
So do you have anything parked outside right now?
I do. I've actually, I've got my 46 Plymouth. We call her Big Booty Judy.
Yeah.
She's sitting out there undercover. She doesn't get wet. She hasn't been wet in a couple decades.
Wow, man.
Yeah, we don't want to rust her out. We want to keep her pretty. She's bright yellow.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
I love yellow.
She's a cool car. I painted her back in the early 90s. So it's a cool 72 Corvette Stingray yellow.
Damn.
So
sexy color.
She's sitting outside. I've got a 71 Bug parts car sitting out there that I keep stripping off selling parts. I've got a 67 Beetle right outside the shop door on a lift for a customer. I'm getting ready to do pans in it for him. So I'm going to pull the body off and do pans. What else I got out there? Oh, I got a 72 Porsche 914 sitting on the car hauler out there for sale.
For sale. Nice. All
Yeah,
right. Well,
it's
everybody will have
awesome.
your contact info by the end
Zero
of this
rust.
show. Cool,
Yeah,
man.
that's
Great
a cool
car too.
car. And
Tell
then
the
just a
folks.
big backyard that needs more stuff put in it.
Okay, awesome. Just so everybody can get the visual, where are we calling in from?
So I'm calling in from Wichita, Kansas.
Okay, we're in Kansas.
Yeah, I'm sitting in the
Normally we have
middle,
to say Dorothy. We're not in Kansas anymore, but today we are.
right? Well, yeah. So I'm in Wichita, Kansas. It is the number one bipolar state in the region. It is 48 degrees today, and we're supposed to be in the negatives by the weekend with they say a trace to 15 inches of snow by Sunday. We'll see.
Too much,
But
man. Too
well, and
much for
here's what's
me.
crazy. A week ago
Florida
we were
guy.
70 degrees. Yeah. We were
That is
70 a
crazy.
week ago.
That sounds like Colorado weather. I lived in Colorado for a number of years, and you could see 50, 60-degree temp splits, in a 12 to 15-hour period. Crazy. Tell me, how early, what age were you when you, I guess, got bit by cars, man?
Elementary school. Um, I grew up in Rockford, Illinois. I'm the youngest of three boys. And I remember when we were in Rockford, my dad had an old Barracuda, and my oldest brother had bought a 65 Impala. Um, so I got bit by the bug when I was a kid because my oldest brother, um, he had zero mechanic ability, um, really hard time tying his Velcro shoes. So So my dad and I, we worked on cars, and I mean we had like an old 78 GMC van with the engine in the front underneath the big cover between the bucket seats,
Yeah,
and
the hump.
yeah, the hump. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's funny about that car because that was back in the seven or that van was back in the 70s, and we lived in California in the late 80s, and I pulled that motor out of that van we had and put it in a 71 Chevelle when I was like 15 years old.
Damn, dude.
You
That's
know,
like
but
that model van. Isn't that like the A-Team van?
yeah, it was kind of like that. But
Yeah.
ours had like all the shag carpet in it. It was the shag and
Oh.
wagon Continental
Oh.
package. Like
Awesome.
we'd go cruising down the highway from up by Chicago to go down to like southern southeast corner of Missouri. And we'd stop in St. Louis and have the White Castle hamburgers that cost a nickel. And then we'd sit in the back of that shaggin' van that we had. And we've all got scars on our thumbs from pulling out the cigarette lighter to see if it really worked.
Yeah.
And we did that type of stuff on our family vacations. But yeah, so I was in elementary school, and I just got bit. And so everywhere we lived, we had cars. And when, as time progressed, by the time I was in junior high school, early high school, we lived in Minnesota. And so we had a big barn. I had lots of cars. I think I had like 15 cars before I had a driver's license.
Damn,
I
dude.
would buy them, I would work on them and flip them and
Yeah.
get another one.
Yeah.
And, and then I lived on the West Coast for a few years. And when we lived out there, I was in the lowrider scene.
Mm.
So I had a 78 Toyota that was hammered on the ground,
Oh yeah.
and I had my 71 Chevelle because there was hot rod and there was lowrider, and I loved both of them.
Yeah, me too,
And
actually. All through them
and I'm
same
still
years.
that way, you
Yeah.
know.
How old are you?
I'm 52.
All right, I'm 48. So we're
Okay.
right there. You know what I mean? We're
Yeah.
we're we're, we're kind of right there. Same generation. Super popular when I was young too. West coast of Florida, in the late 80s, early 90s, the lowrider culture was everywhere. I mean, in my heart and in my soul, I think every car in the existence of the planet needs to be slammed on the ground and lowered. That's just who
Yeah.
I am. Even F350s, man. Lower them. Yeah. So one car though stands out in particular I want to talk about. That's Big Booty Judy because you mentioned her, but what we don't know is you've had this car 41 years. What's that
Yeah.
say? What's that say about you?
It just says that my dad and I have a passion for cars, and what's crazy about that car is we lived in Minnesota. And my parents are from the southeast corner of Missouri, Joplin, Springfield, kind of in there. So I was, 10 or 11 years old, and my dad and I took a weekend trip and we went to Springfield and we came home with a 46 Plymouth. And, you know, I think I was probably about, I think it was a year later, I was maybe 12 or so. And my dad and I drove up into northern Minnesota and went to a Good Guys rod run. And he drove the Plymouth. And we get about 5 miles from the car show, and the damn car broke down. And so we called a tow truck company. They slung it up on a wrecker, not the flatbed roll off pretty ones. They did the slingshot to the bumper and they towed our car into the Good Guys show. And my dad got a trophy from the Good Guys for breaking down and making it to the show. And I don't remember exactly what they called it, but it just kind of,
Probably
for me,
crawled in or something, something
yeah,
creative.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it was so cool because a couple guys came around, we all hung out, they fixed it. It was a carburetor situation, and we all, like, car enthusiasts, we all rallied together. I was a little kid. I learned some stuff about, a two-barrel carburetor that I knew absolutely nothing about. And they fixed this car. We did the car show and we drove back where we lived in Minnesota, and it was like instantly I was bit by the bug because then I started buying, like like I said, before I ever had a driver's license, I had Volkswagen Bugs and Squarebacks, Carmen Gias, 40 Chevy Coupe delivery vehicles. I mean, I had all kinds of stuff on the property, and we pull it in the barn, and it got to a point to where my dad didn't work on stuff with me anymore, and I just worked on stuff. And it just evolved because as I was working on Big Booty Judy and making her a happy car and a happy driver, then we moved from Minnesota to California.
Right. I mean,
So,
41 years, dude. You got a whole lot of
yeah,
change in your life. I mean, your whole
right.
life essentially
Exactly.
as
I
an
mean,
adult,
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I had her before I had anyone else in my life.
Was
I
this your
guess we could put it that way.
this your first car?
Well, that was my first car that all the good memories were made in.
Okay.
you know
I
everything
can
else
take
we
that.
had before that, it was just like buy it, fix it, flip it,
Yeah.
and no emotional love to it. and i
Uh,
and i say all the time, I'm like, well, maybe I ought to sell her and get rid of her.
your
Oh,
girlfriend.
then my girlfriend's like, don't sell that car. You'll be mad if you get rid of that car, because that's something that you and your dad have. you know like, my parents are still alive, but my dad's lost his mind and my mom's in a nursing home, and so he doesn't remember any of that type of stuff, but I remember that type of stuff. So I'll probably never get rid of it. I mean,
I'm all right with that. I know a lot of the
yeah,
listeners are all right with that too. First time like age though, fixing something yourself, right? You're talented, you're a gifted mechanical guy. What was first time you started to realize you could take stuff apart, put it back together, fixing something?
elementary school. I
See, I
mean,
got I got I got three boys and well, I got four boys, but my three boys that are older that are starting to develop into people,
yeah,
only one out of the four, I was gonna say, is mechanical. Only one. So it is something that you're kind of born with or not. Like you said, one of your brothers wasn't mechanical.
right,
I got a few sons that aren't. They just not. And to be honest, up front with you, I'm really not that mechanical enough to be dangerous.
right,
Went to HVAC school, that kind of stuff, and I was okay there. But just not my normal thing. My kind of personality is, nah, man. I want a craftsman to do that type of work, and
sure.
somebody that really cares about the outcome. I'm just gonna try to do it just because I am gonna try to do it, and I don't want that, especially in this type of stuff. Anyway, I didn't want to take away from you. I was just kind of vibing with you on. I understand that you know you can get it really young. I got a son that did and was looking on the ground how stuff worked and how wheels spin and how
Oh
a
yeah.
differential works and he was riding a dirt bike by the time he was 10. I got him lessons. He's shifting gears with a clutch at 11 years
Oh
old
wow.
on a dirt track. So anyway, back to you though. Sorry to cut you off.
No, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, ever since we would be home, we'd be with the babysitter, and it was like, huh, I think I'm going to take the toaster apart and figure out how this thing works,
That's so
or,
funny.
something. And my parents would come home, and the babysitter would be like, well, so I'm really sorry if your TV doesn't work, but it got taken apart while you guys were out at dinner. And, so I just from an early age, I always wanted to like dismantle everything, figure out what made it tick, and then the challenge is to put it back together to make sure it worked again when it left. And that's what we do. Gearheads car guys. I mean, I get cars come through my shop here in Wichita for customers, and they're like, well, it's doing this or it's doing that. And I'm like, cool, we'll take it apart, we'll figure it out, we'll put it back together, you'll drive and you'll be happy. And if it breaks again, call me, but I learned that stuff in elementary school and it just followed me because it followed me through growing up. When I was in high school, I became a certified welder and I learned how to paint cars and I
Dude,
went
man.
to body shop school.
Oh,
I
come on,
painted in
bro.
a custom shop
I knew
when I
you were
got out of high
talented.
school. Yeah, I mean, well, jack of all trades, master of none.
Well, says you. I'm sure a lot of other people would probably beg to differ.
So
So,
yeah, just early on.
walk me through the moment and tell me, describe for us, what exactly did you inherit with this Bug-O-Rama?
Wow. So, a little over a decade ago, I was very actively involved in my local Masonic lodge and in our local shrine center here in Wichita where I live.
Mm.
And so being involved with those type of philanthropies, you come across things that they're interesting and you get involved like being in the shrine. I was in a bunch of different clubs and units, so like I've been in a unit where we dressed up as cartoon characters. Can you see me as Pink Panther? That's Yeah, so I was that guy. And then I
Fun.
was in a chef's group where we cooked, so anytime the shrine needed someone to cook a meal,
Yeah.
we cooked a.
Okay.
And and I got a bunch of buddies that have Harley Davidsons. I used to be a biker myself. I did all that stuff when I was younger. And so a little over a decade ago, um, we get, or I didn't get, the motorcycle group in the shrine gets an opportunity to buy Bug-O-Rama, a Volkswagen only car show. And so, a bunch of Harley Davidson guys, right? They buy a car show for Volkswagens. The only thing that makes any kind of sense on that is Harley Davidson's drip oil, just like Volkswagen's drip oil.
Awesome.
That was their
Amen.
common denominator. And so they get the car club or they get the car show. I've been a printer my whole grown up life. I've got a printing business I've had for 25 years. So screen printing and embroidery and laser and all
Oh,
kinds of
nice.
stuff we do in our shop. We've done it for a long time.
Okay.
And so being in the shrine, one of the guys, a buddy of mine, he comes to me and he's like, hey man, can you make the t-shirts and the trophies for this Volkswagen car show? And I'm like, what? A Volkswagen what? I go, you guys are bikers. And they're like, yeah, we're trying to turn it into a fundraiser. And I said, okay. So I print t-shirts, I print trophies, and then I get the call, hey, would you mind coming to the car show and slinging hamburgers and hot dogs and brats for everybody so we've got something to eat all day? And I'm like, sure, what the hell? I'll go. Never been to one before. When I was a kid, Volkswagens were cool,
Hmm.
but in my 40s, it it's not that they weren't cool. I
Right.
just wasn't doing it. I had Big Booty Judy and some other projects,
Yeah.
and I didn't even have a Volkswagen. And so I go, they get about 30, 35 cars entered. I talked to the treasurer when it's all said and done, and the guy's like, "We took a bath on this. We made less than $300, and we're supposed to give this money to the Shrine kids. We don't have any money to give them." And I was like, "Yeah, that sucks, But I volunteered to cook your food. That's all I did." So, so a couple months rolls, and at the present time, I was the president of another group inside the Shrine. And so they came to one of my meetings and they said, "Hey, would you guys like to buy Bug-O-Rama?" And I was like, "Well, present it to the e-board, let them make a decision. As the president, I have no power. I do what the board says." So, anyways, long story short, a couple months goes by, we buy the car show from the other group. And at this time, I was just exiting my 2-year term of being the president of that group. So the new president comes in and he goes, "Kurt," he goes, "I'm going to make you the chairman of the car show. And let's see if we can make some money and have fun with this." Because he knows I get organized and I like to put on things and I like to do stuff. And I was like, "Sure, what the hell?" So I put a poll out to everybody on social media and I'm like, "I'm the new chairman of this program. Do you guys want to do it in July on 115-degree asphalt? Or do we want to move it to like May and put it in a park somewhere that's got trees and grass and it won't be 115 degrees?" And I got enough of a polling back to where I took the show, I moved it to a park here in Wichita, and we're still there. We're a decade later, we're still there. And so we had the show, and the first show we had, I had 75 cars. Um, we had food trucks. We had DJ music from a local buddy of mine here in town that was a local radio DJ. And it was so good that when it was over, we donated $3,000 to the Shrine kids.
Let's go.
And yeah, and it was awesome. Well, so the next year rolls, and I get a phone call from some guy in Canada. He was president of like our international chapter in
Okay.
this group of Shrine.
Oh,
And he calls me and he says, "Hey," he goes, "all of your Wichita guys, they're not car guys. They don't care. They've all reached out to me individually. They don't want to do this anymore. It's dead, dead in the water." And I said, "Wait a minute." I said, "What about me?" I said, "I enjoy this." And he's like, "Well, that's what the phone call's for." He goes, "So we're going to give you an opportunity to have it." And I go, "What do you mean by have it?" And he goes, "We're going to give you everything that's associated with Bug-O-Rama." He goes, "So you're going to get the laptop, you'll get any tangible stuff that you guys have bought, and you probably have a big box of crap that goes with it. It's all yours." And I said, "What do I have to do?" And he's like, "You have to surrender the bank account." He goes, "All the money in the bank will be given to the kids. So you'll still get notoriety that the kids got the money." And he goes, "But you'll have to figure out a way to pay for it. And you need to change the name." And I said, "Okay." And so it went from being Bug-O-Rama to Bug-O-Rama ICT. Um, Turn around, I incorporated it, we branded it, we became a 501c3.
yeah.
We went from doing one show a year, we do like a dozen things a year, and we give a bunch of money to the kids to help with transportation, and we give a lot of money to the veterans. And here we are, we're about a decade deep. And last year we surpassed $90,000 given.
Damn.
And that's just on a variety because that's been given to the kids to help with transportation to get to and from the Shriners hospitals.
Man.
That's been given to veterans, POW, MIA stuff,
How many
local
shows a
stuff.
year are you guys doing?
So we do April, May, and October big shows.
Okay.
And then I do a monthly show from April
Okay.
to September. So we do 6 of those. Um, we also, like, I just got an email last week. Another person here in town wants me to come host a show for them this year at a mini golf place. So I'm going to put a pop up show together for them.
Yeah,
Um,
cool. you
But you
know,
know,
when
and we do a fireworks stand and just a bunch of little things.
yeah, let's touch
So,
on that. Let's touch on that. Back to Bug-O-Rama real quick. Just describe for us what do people feel when they come to Bug-O-Rama that they don't feel at other shows or elsewhere?
so the feedback that I get is we love coming to your festival to trip over a really badass car show. And
Okay, okay.
when I ask them what
That
they
means
what that
something.
means,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm like, what do you mean by that? And they're like, well, because we can come and you've got 4 or 5 or 6 food trucks and you got a booze truck and you've got 20 or 30 vendors
Yeah.
and you guys are rocking live music on this big stage
Yeah.
and you guys are just hammering out and having all this fun. And I actually came to eat my favorite food truck and I fell in love with 150 cars at your show. And so my family stayed all day at your festival. And I'm like, festival. I like that. So, and like we probably go to 30, 30 or 40 shows a year with Cherry Bomb. And
Cherry bomb
car
was
shows are
bad.
boring. Car shows are boring because we go to them, you check in, you go sit down next to your car, and you look at your cell phone and you wait for trophy presentation, and there's nothing going on. There's no activity. There's no, I mean, there's some old guy playing DJ music in the background, like playing the Beach Boys and,
Oh.
the Bellamy Brothers and whatnot. And I'm like, yeah, this is kind of cool, but let's do something fun. So we started incorporating the vendors, the axe throwing, and the live music,
Come
and
on.
having, just a variety of groceries to eat, along with a bar so you can go get you something to drink. Like with our April and October shows, those are camping weekends. So people roll in on Friday and their buses and their squarebacks and whatever it is they're driving. And they camp Friday night and Saturday night. And we cook out and we have big communal dinners and breakfast. And then we have the car show. And, like we started doing a lantern walk at our November, at our October show, actually in memory of one of our really good friends that was a huge, huge, huge Volkswagen guy. And he passed away a couple years ago at Buses by the Bridge out in Havasu, and his
Damn.
brother lives here.
He
And so I
passed
said,
away
hey,
while he was there?
yeah, he passed away there.
Oh, dude, I
And
didn't even hear about that. Most of the time,
yeah,
just through the community, you kind of detect some things. I didn't even see that. It's
yeah, and
unfortunate.
he knew he was passing away, and he said, I'm going to pass away at Buses by the Bridge.
Damn, man.
And so some of our
Insane.
local Volkswagen guys here went with him to make sure he got there, and everything was pre-designed to make sure he could get back here, for his proper funeral and everything. I'm
Wow.
really good. I was good friends with him, and I'm good friends with his brother.
Okay.
And so I asked his brother. I said, "Can we do a lantern walk for Randy at the October show?"
Now I heard about that.
Yeah,
Heard about the
and he
lantern
said,
walk.
"You can."
Wow,
And
bro.
so we started doing that a couple years ago. And it's awesome because we do it every October. It brings 40, 50, 60 people. And what's cool about where we do it in Wichita is it drags a whole bunch of people out of the community that are not car related, but they're lovers of Randy. So they come to the Lantern Walk to come memorialize him. And so we started doing that. And we just do a lot of really cool stuff. I mean, we give back. We just interject ourselves into anything that we can do community wise.
Sounds like
And
a lot. Like, shows every month, 3 or 4 big shows a year. Kind of walk us through, if you will, your calendar and maybe tell us how you juggle all this. Because me and my buddy only do 4 shows a year, and at times I think that's why I have no hair.
well, I'll tell you, so a couple years ago, well, 2 years ago this month, I retired from my real job. my pay the bill job.
Which
And
which was
I was a trucker for 30 years, so I was in transportation management. I was in long haul stuff. I did LTL stuff. 2 years ago, I retired from FedEx Freight.
okay.
And when I did, we're in a position and it made sense. I've got the printing business at home. I've got my hot rod shop at home. I work on clients' cars. I've always got someone's car in the shop getting worked on. And it just made a lot of sense. Um, 30 plus years in the business, I was just over it, My brain capacity and my stress level and my self health was just like, I'm out. I'm done. And so 50 years old, retired. And so at that point, I added a May car show, and then I added the 6 pop-up car shows.
You're
And
right.
then last year I added the April car show. And then I added the fireworks tent last year. And then I co-host and help a guy, a good friend of mine here in town that is a veteran. He owns a really awesome diecast store.
Oh,
So he
cool.
sells everything, Hot Wheels, Mattel, I mean, everything diecast.
Okay.
So last year I started helping him in November co-host his diecast show. So, basically from about April to November, we're hustling the whole year.
Busy.
And between November and April, I'm hustling sponsorship and donations. And, we
Respect.
do some indoor shows during the wintertime. And so, but I could have never, ever done this in the fashion that I have if I wouldn't have retired when I did.
Right.
And if I didn't have the support of my girlfriend, because she still works full time. You know, she drives an hour and 120 miles a day round trip to a job 3 days a week, and then she works out of the house 2 days a week in our office in our house. And without her support and her belief in what we do, there's
Sure.
no way I could have ever done this by
Yeah.
myself.
You know, shout out to her. Awesome. Nothing better than having somebody, a partner that supports you, supports your hobbies, supports your passions, and I'm not going to say allows because it's not really like that, but kind of, right? Like kind of just allows you to have that freedom. I've got a super supportive wife as well, and I say really any level of success that I have in my life, I really owe it to her. Truly,
Sure.
because she's like the sounding board. She's the pincushion.
Well, and that's how she is to me because, when we do our 3 big shows, she runs registration. So not only is she running registration, she's running the raffle area and she's managing the volunteers and she's hustling her butt off. And I'm the pretty guy. I'm out on the golf cart and I'm cruising the show and I'm making sure
Right.
everybody's happy
Dude, I'm
and
the
I'm
same way.
mingling.
I swear, man, it's a very similar vibe between me and my wife. My wife right now is in the background printing the car show vouchers that we have for V-Dubs on the Pier Saturday. We're numbering them 1 through 150. They're going to go in the swag bag. So we know how to identify the winner of the 10 classes. But when I say she's about it, I'm saying I understand the feeling of what you're talking about right now. That's really cool.
Yeah. So yeah, so I mean that's in a nutshell where our whole desire and passion came with the whole Bug-O-Rama program is
Okay.
it started because some other guys didn't want to do it anymore. We thought we were going to revive it, and then those guys said, I don't want to be a part of it. And I was like, well, shit, I'll do it. I'll take this thing and we'll run with it. And that's what we're doing. I mean, we're hustling. And I'll tell you, motivation is seeing stuff on social media and people talking about car show season and they're like, man, I can't wait. April's coming up and the all German Sprinkling is going to be in town and we're going to go. And I just sit back and I go, huh, I just heard you say Bug-O-Rama. This is awesome.
Yeah.
And
Good stuff, man.
and
It's a good
and
feeling.
it's so cool. And like, it's January, so this month has been sponsorship click. I get emails and phone calls every day this month, and people are like, don't know who you are, seen you on TV, seen you here, seen you there, you were this, you were that. We want to be a part of your program. What do we have to do?
Bro,
And
nothing feels better than support like that, man.
oh, yeah,
It's a lot of people just signing up to believe in you.
right.
And it feels good. I know that feeling because I put on shows as well. But I want to talk about some other shows too. Just through the story and through the timeline. Tell me about, is it Deutsch Tober Festival?
Yeah. So Deutsch Tober Festival, that is our original. So
Okay.
that show is 17 years old this year.
Damn.
And so 17 years ago, that was Bug-O-Rama. That was
Oh,
all it was known for.
okay.
That was
Okay.
it.
Okay.
And, and so it was like year number 5 or 6, whatever it was, when I got involved in it.
Right.
And then
Got
as we progressed, and I named the corporation Bug-O-Rama ICT Incorporated, I was like, that's cool. That's who we are. That's our brand. People know that name. But now each show deserves its own thunder. Each show needs to have its own name. And so in the community we live in, it's funny because a lot of people, they'll come at me and they're like, hey, when's Bug-O-Rama? When's Bug-O-Rama? And I go, oh, it's October, third weekend in October, or fourth weekend in April. And, so a few years ago, I was like, we need to name this show, and we need to name it to where people are going to know what it is. And so it became the Deutsch Tober Festival and German Car Show. And many years ago, we were nothing but a Volkswagen show. And the way the old management ran it is if it wasn't a Volkswagen and you couldn't prove it was a Volkswagen, it wasn't welcome at the show.
Okay.
And when I took over, I'd get a call and they'd say, "Hey, I got a Porsche, I've got a 356 Outlaw, and it's got a VW motor in it. Can I bring it to your show?" Yes, you can. And so we changed it into a German car show. So now, of course, it it is all Volkswagen, more Volkswagen than anything else, but BMWs, Mercedes-Benz, Audi, Porsche, Opel, so those come. And then the May show is an open show. So that's everything. Bring your roadster, bring your hot rod, bring your semi truck, bring your unicycle. I don't care. You
Cool.
know,
Yeah.
come have fun with us.
Fun.
And so that's where that's a few years ago, that's when we decided to start naming some of the shows. So like our April to September, those are just pop-up shows, but those are donuts and barbecue.
Ah,
And
I
it's
saw
pretty
that.
simple.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, because
yeah. Okay.
we're in
I,
a big parking lot, and
I
on
saw
your
that.
left
I had
is
that
the
marked as
donut.
like a question mark. I'm like, what was, I wanted to talk about that, but okay, good. I'm
Yeah,
glad you
yeah,
touched on that. Touch on
yeah.
this
Because if
for me. What
okay,
was automobilia?
so Automobilia is a show that has been in Wichita for over 30 years.
Okay.
Um, a good friend of mine and his family own it, and they are a 501(c)(3). They give a
Okay.
lot of money back to a lot of kids and families and everything around here. And Automobilia is the largest all free car show in anywhere that I've ever noticed. And it's a nighttime party. So the show starts at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon and it goes until like 11 o'clock at night.
Okay.
It's in downtown Wichita. They close off everything and it's a free car show. And there'll be over 1,500 cars at the show. There'll be 3 or 4 stages set up playing music. There's food trucks. There's everything. And my friend Josh, um, rest in peace. He just passed away a few weeks ago. Um,
Sorry
we've
to hear
been
that.
friends for a long time, and we're a sounding board. So him and I we're on the phone all the time and we're talking about car show stuff. Well, a couple years ago, Josh is like, hey, he goes, you're a nonprofit and I'm a nonprofit. He goes, you're going to start coming to my show for free. And he goes, I want you to bring anything you want to bring. I'll give you all the real estate you want. You can set up a booth. You can set in all your friends and your cars. And he goes, figure out a way to make money. He goes, this is what it's all about. He goes, I know what you do. You know what we do. We support each other back and forth. And so several years ago, um, now Bug-O-Rama is in the middle of that. And it's so cool. We set up like this big spinning wheel like you'd get on Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah, cool.
And we
Game
put a bunch
wheel.
of stuff on there. We give away a bunch of stuff.
Cool, man.
And
Good idea.
we take donations. And so it's actually turned into a revenue stream for our nonprofit because like the show in 2025 at Automobilia, when we went home that night and I dumped the cash box out on the kitchen table and counted the money, there was over $600 in the cash box
Dang, man.
because people just walked by and they're like, I want to spin the wheel. Here, have $5. Here's $20. Here's $2.
Crazy.
And
And it's for donations. Yeah.
and it's all donations.
Yeah. Amazing, man. Amazing. Good ideas too, for generating
Yeah.
revenue to donate. It's great.
But yeah, if you're ever in the Midwest, Automobilia is the number one largest. They call it Automobilia Street Party and Car Show, but it is phenomenal. It is huge, and people come from all over the country to come to that show, free registration, you know,
Pretty
and
awesome,
they
man.
do really cool trophies. They raise a whole bunch of money.
Yeah, that's
Um,
amazing. That's the best
and they're
part.
helping so many people.
Yeah.
So
I just feel I love seeing that I want to do that. I want to be the same, I want to have a super successful show and I want to make not a dollar off of it. But I want somebody to benefit. Certainly children or however that goes. That's the direction that I want to go with my shows one day as well. So awesome, man. So we've touched on shows for a little while. I want to switch gears real quick and I want to bring something up because you were featured in Hot VW's magazine. And I just want to talk about what that experience was like and what that did for you. Oh, yeah, buddy.
that's the one. I had to bring it.
Okay. Cool, man. Again, what's that feel like? What's that do for you?
So that was in 2023, and I had met I had met Shin. He's one of the editors for the magazine. Everybody knows Shin. Um, a few years ago, we were in Oklahoma City at a show, and I got to meet Shin, and I started like poking on him, and I was like, "Hey, how do I get you to come to Wichita? How do I get you here?" And so early in 23, he calls me from California, and he's like, "Hey, I've got my time slots open in October." And I said, "All right, come." And I said, "I don't care what it costs." I said, "We'll take care of it." And he's like, "Well, good," because that was the next thing. He said, "I come, you pay." And I was like, "I'm in." So so it was crazy because then I had like all year of 2023 to just jump on every single social media thing I was putting out. And I was like, Hot VW, Shin's coming.
Smart,
And
smart,
our
smart.
registration just went up and people started like, is he really coming? You're not bullshitting me, are you? Nope, he's coming. And so I bought him a plane or Bug-O-Rama, bought him a plane ticket. I go to the local dealership here in Wichita that's been one of our sponsors for like a decade. And I said, "Hey, I got a guy coming in from California from Hot VW magazine. I need a car." And they go, "No problem. When he gets here, we'll give you a brand new car for him to drive while he's here." And I've got some good friends of mine that are in the real estate business. They've got Airbnbs. And so I called them and I said, "I got a guy coming in from California. Hook me up." And they said, "Okay, we'll give you keys to the house, no charge." just shout us out at your program. And I said, cool. So it was just I think it was a life-changing adventure for Bug-O-Rama because people know us. We've had people from 22 different states come to the shows. The best long distance award we ever gave out was Anchorage, Alaska, to a
Wow,
guy that
dude.
came to our show. But I mean, we've had people from everywhere, and I really wanted to get in a magazine, get out in front of everybody, and I wanted everybody to know that, hey, the Midwest can do some really badass car shows. They're just not all in California. They're not all in Florida. They're not all in Tennessee or Texas or whatever. And so it was super, super cool. And we made some really good friends. Shin and I talk on occasion. He's busy, he travels, but we're friends with the owners of the magazine now, and we see them at various shows throughout the year. And they've been to our show since then, just never publication. So yeah, it was kind of a game changer to be able to get in a magazine.
Yeah, man.
And so when the magazine happened with them, I started reaching out to VW Trend magazine, hoping that I could get Dan, like on the hook, to come to Kansas and come to one of our shows. And
He goes,
he's on
he
social media every
travels.
day. He travels. He's a traveling fool,
Yeah.
but boy, he is hard, hard, hard to get in contact with. And his office is like, just email him, email him, email him. And I've lost track, but
Mm.
we'll get there. I,
I know,
we're not going
I know
anywhere.
just because I've looked him in his eyes that it's probably nothing intentional. Probably just a
No,
super
not at all.
busy dude. The magazine's blowing up again. He's all over the damn place all the time.
Sure.
Shout out to Dan. He's a good guy, funny guy.
Oh, he's hilarious. I love his
I look
posts.
forward to every time I see him post something. I'm like, here we go. I'm about to laugh. Yeah,
I
no, he's great, man. He's great. Tell me this. Describe the VW community for me.
the Wichita BW community.
Yeah.
Um, there is there is a lot of Volkswagens in this town, and the majority of them are hidden behind a fence or behind someone's garage door.
Okay.
Um, the car show community here is really weird because you have a lot of people that like to go hang out, and it's kind of like run what you brung. I don't care. We're just here to have a good time. And then you have these other people, and they're like, well, if it's not, if you can't eat off the floor
Yeah,
and the
right.
paint's not pristine and it's not show car quality, then I'm not going to go just pay an entry fee to hang out with everybody and do a show. Um, the community in Wichita, um, just full transparency, it's very cliquish.
Mm.
Um,
I think that's everywhere, to be honest. I've
yeah,
noticed that too, even about down here.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so You know, I see people all the time because we don't care what kind of car show it is. We like to go to all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a gearhead. I love cars.
Paint
My
this
girlfriend
picture for
loves
me.
cars.
I got this visual and I want to see what you say. Average decent size, VW car shows in your area. See how many cars.
Um, so up until a couple years ago, we were the only game in town.
Okay.
100 plus every show we had.
Okay. That's respectful, man.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, when you get into the 100 plus, it's like, okay, you're doing something. It's
right.
a lot of cars.
Now there is another show that popped up here 2 years ago. Here it's local, and it is just a Volkswagen show. Um, they're new. They're still wet behind the ears. They're trying to figure out what works, what don't work, the good and bad and things like that. Um, their numbers have been, and I went 2 years ago, maybe 60. maybe. Last year, I wasn't welcomed to go, so I didn't go.
Okay.
So I don't know what last year was. Um, there's enough car show and there's enough um, enthusiasm in this part of the country to where if you're doing it right and you're doing it the way people like you to do it, you're going to bring the numbers.
Yeah.
You know, I got a buddy that lives in Tulsa, and I don't know if you've ever heard of his show. It's the Port City Volkswagen Show.
I
Um,
haven't, but
on the first weekend of June, his name's Kyle, and his show's big, you know, and he is
we need to get Kyle on the podcast.
and that's what the plan is. Yeah. Because
Cool, cool.
Kyle's he's a good, he's got the biggest heart you've ever seen in your life. Um, the way he runs his show, they camp all weekend, people come. He gets a couple hundred, but it's in Tulsa, you
Yeah.
know. Wichita, Kansas is really weird because there's a Volkswagen community here. There's a lot of cars, but little involvement.
Okay.
Kansas City, a lot of cars, a little involvement. The further south you go, you start getting into Oklahoma and Texas, they're bigger. You get into Arkansas, Eureka Springs show, which is a phenomenal show. We go every year. There'll be 1,000 cars in that town that weekend,
Damn.
you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Wichita's weird. And, you know, we've had a lot of people from a lot of different parts of the country. I mean, like I said, Alaska, California, Tennessee, Texas, Florida, the Carolinas, the Dakotas. We've had a lot of people come from a lot of distance, but it's hard because Kansas is Kansas. Even though there's a lot of Volkswagens here, there's just not a lot of involvement here. A lot of people that are here that have cars that want to go to shows, they'll come or they leave the state and go somewhere else.
Right.
And, you know, but yeah, there's a lot of Volkswagens in this town. I
So
see them
that
all the time.
so that's the scene. That's describing the scene. Maybe tell me this. What's the community mean to you there in the area?
We love the community. We love helping people, you know.
I mean, to do a 501c and all that, you've got to be a giver. You've got to be that, that type of heart, that type of person. But again, I always like to hear from, the guests, like, what does the community, VW community at that really mean to you?
You know, from an early age, when I lived up in Rockford, one of my dad's best friends was a huge philanthropist with the Shriners Hospitals for Children. And I remember being little bitty, I mean, like knee high to a grasshopper, going to this guy's house. He's got the funny fezzes that they wear in the shrine, and he's got plaques and stuff in his basement and memorabilia and all this stuff. And I just remember asking my dad, I'm like, what is all this? What is this all about? And my dad's like, well, this is part of being a Mason and a Shriner is you you give back. You give back to people that need help. And you pick what you're interested in and find what your passion is, and that's where you give it. And so, you know, 52 years old, I grew up around it. And I've been to several different Shriners hospitals. I've been to several different like Children's Mercy and, other hospitals. And it just always it just kind of clicked with me. And you know, part of the story that hasn't been discussed is when I was 18 years old, I was in a motorcycle accident and I got my right foot cut off. So I'm an amputee.
Oh,
And being 18 years old, I aged out of the Shriners Hospitals for Children because they only help you from birth to 18. And
ah,
so I recovered on my own. I've worked my life, I've had a career, I've done a lot of things. And so my give back is I want to help those kids. I want to help a kid that was born without a limb or a kid that,
yeah,
maybe
dude.
was born with a cleft lip palate or
Yeah,
something.
special,
And
man.
then
You're a special
yeah, and
dude.
then and then the military stuff. I mean, we love helping the veterans. We love inserting ourselves and stuff. So, for us, um, the kids and the veterans, that's where it's at. And and we don't downplay anybody else's philanthropy. I mean, if you want to raise money and give it to, dogs and cats and hamsters and gerbils or whatever it is you're into, I mean, I believe everybody has their own heart and they have their own desire. And
Well
when
said.
and when I got an opportunity to turn something that I really dig into a cash flow to be able to give a bunch of money back at the end of every year or during the year and help people that need assistance. I mean, that's what it's all about. I mean, I'm not on the payroll. She's not on the payroll. Can be, but don't want to be. I
Right.
have money. I
Yeah.
have other things.
Yeah.
And
It's not what it's
so we're
for. It's not what it's
right,
for.
exactly.
It's a
So
different type
we,
of vehicle.
yeah. So
Yeah.
we turn everything we can into donations. And we always make sure, the key to what we do, the key to our success story of figuring out how to run our programs is knowing how much money we have to have at the end of the year to go into the new year to seed every event that we're going to do throughout the calendar. And then when I know what the seed is, everything else, that big chunk of what we don't have to have, give it away. And
Amazing.
that's exactly what you're supposed to do.
That's exactly what you're supposed to do. Yeah. Amazing,
And that's
man.
how I grew up. I watched my parents do it and I watched my parents' friends do it
It's
and
just
I
in you.
surrounded myself.
Yeah.
It's just in you.
It's just in you. It's like Gatorade. It's in you. All right, man. I got some rapid fire questions. These are questions that demand a fast response.
Okay,
If a story comes of them, so be it. But are you ready?
I am.
All right. Carb or fuel injection?
Carburetor.
Of course. Uh, Pretty
The
much
gas smells better.
think I know the answer to this one, but build it yourself or buy it finished?
Build it yourself.
Of course.
Or if you buy it finished, make it your own.
Yeah, customize it your way, your way.
Right.
Beetle or bus?
Oh wow. Um, I've had both. Um, let's go with uh let's go with the bus. But it's got to be hammered on the ground and
Yeah.
just badass.
Amen. Now we got to go into what bus? Are we split? Are we bay? Where are we at with the bus?
So I've never owned a split window. I
Okay.
have owned a bay window.
Okay.
If I was going to drop cash on something, it'd be an old early 60s split window.
Mm. Yeah.
And
Sexy.
because I think they're cooler looking,
Yeah, they are. They have
you
that
know.
just that special something about them, especially
Right.
with the split windows. But I hear from a lot of guests that come on that the bay window is just much more comfortable, more practical, more everything. And I'm like, well, I get it, but I like the splits too a lot.
Yeah.
Super
Yeah.
attracted to them, especially when what you say, uh, I was just at Henry's Depot for the Jason Davis's VW show, and there were two buses up front that I'm not joking you, dude. You couldn't slip a lighter under the bumper. They were bagged and just all the way on the ground. So sexy. I walked
Awesome.
by them. I'm like, yes, sir. That's what I like. I like them low like that. All right. Uh, I already know the answer to this one too, but I'm going to ask it for the listeners. One car you'll never sell.
Big booty Judy.
Big Booty Judy. Just had to hear you say it again. Okay.
Yeah.
Music. You're wrenching. What are you listening to?
So I like old rock, old country. Um, I'm a big Kid Rock fan.
Okay.
So, usually you can hear a lot of Kid Rock coming out of my shop walls.
Okay. I like
Um,
Kid Rock, man. Kid Rock, especially, his older stuff, when he was at the height
yeah,
of his career. I love Kid Rock.
I like some of the 80s and the early 90s rap music. Don't tell everybody, but yeah,
Hey, me too, man. Me too. That was
yeah,
what we grew up with, the lowrider events
exactly.
in the early 90s, it was Tupac and Biggie and it was the whole New York scene and Wu-Tang and yeah, man. I'm with it too. Are
Yep.
you a morning guy or a night guy?
Yes.
Both?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't sleep very good. I don't sleep very well,
Yeah,
I
me
guess.
either. Yeah, I don't either.
She gets up early to go to work, so I get up when she gets up, or I get up before she gets up.
Hmm.
Um, I'm not old enough to take naps yet, but she has given me permission to nap. I just haven't taken her up on it yet.
Sure, sure.
But then there's times where, 9:30, I like to go to bed.
Yeah, I'm in that
Or
boat. I got a
sometimes
6-year-old at
where,
home right now.
oh my,
Yep. So his bedtime's 8:30, and sometimes I thank my heavens that it is because I'm right behind him
yeah, yeah.
going to bed. Uh,
So
tell me
yeah, so
this.
I like to stay up late, get up early,
Okay.
a little
Yeah.
bit of both.
Okay. Tell me this, rapid fire style. One thing every car show gets wrong.
Oh my. Um, Atmosphere.
Wow. That was actually spot on. Describe it though. What do you mean?
Um, there's nothing to do. I mean,
Got it.
there's no food, there's no
No
beverage,
activities. Yeah.
no activities.
Hmm.
There's yeah, atmosphere.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's good. It teaches the community to wake up and provide some activities at these events. Uh,
Yeah.
if Bug-O-Rama outlives you, what part of it must survive?
I think what needs to survive is motivation to continue to give back.
Ooh,
Whoever whoever ends up with this gem that we have when I'm no longer available to do it, they they have to come full of passion and full of motivation with the aspiration to continue to give back to the community because that's what we do,
yeah.
you know.
And I look at it even through this lens. The peer event that we're doing right now, yeah, it's expensive. It's expensive to get the police and all that. But I don't care. If we get enough sponsors and stuff, to me, that's also part of giving back to your community, hiring the police and paying that kind of money. And, so it's putting on an event for the city and for the community locally, but it's also putting on financially for the city and for the community. And I like that side of it too. I don't care that stuff's expensive. I'm just say, okay, that means we need to work harder and
Sure.
raise this money. So, but yeah, enough of me.
Yeah, work harder, negotiate harder, get everybody on board, get them to see it through our lenses so they see what we're working towards. And that's kind of where we're at right now with what we're doing is this last 2 or 3 years has just been really epic for us because now instead of all the door knocking and the begging and the pleading and the gimme, 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 that stuff is starting to come organically.
What a
And
What a feeling. What a
oh, it is.
feeling.
I mean,
Just
like the
picking up a
email
sponsor,
yesterday.
just picking up a sponsor to me feels so good.
Yeah. I mean,
Somebody
I picked
believes
up a
in you.
platinum sponsor yesterday and I got chills when I read the email.
That's what it's, see, man. It's because you
And
care.
then she came home from
That's
work
what it's
last
all
night and
about.
I said, hey, we picked up Club Car Wash as a platinum. And she looked at me and she goes, I got chills. I was
Awesome.
like, cool, that's what I got,
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome,
And I
man.
even picked up a sponsor this morning before we got on the call.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is cool.
Yeah,
This
good
is
for you,
work.
man. I'm happy for you. All right, tell us where people can find Bug-O-Rama. Where can people find you?
So bugorama.org is our website. We're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We used to be on Twitter or X or whatever they call that. I don't know. I don't know if we're there anymore. Um, but yeah, it's bugorama.org. Um,
And they can
we're there.
find all your socials and everything from the website.
Yep, yep.
10-4.
And we're all over the place. I mean, like I said, we're on Facebook and Instagram. Um, that red turd behind you, she's got her own Instagram page.
Shoot,
Um,
turd nothing. That thing is
so
beautiful. Man,
so
damn.
yeah, so she's on there. She got to get a little bit of internet love too, but yeah, we're on the website, we're on social media. Um, we're going to be everywhere. That's the plan.
And that's a wrap for this episode of DubLife Diaries. Thanks for riding along with us and diving into these incredible stories of the people in the dubs that drive their dreams. If you love today's episode, don't forget to subscribe or hit that follow button so you never miss an adventure. Do you have a story to tell or know somebody else who's living the dub life? Awesome! Reach out to us. You can find us on all socials at DubLife Diaries or shoot me an email. I'm not hard to find. DubLifeDiaries@gmail.com. Until next time, keep the engines humming and the wheels turning, and always follow the road that inspires you. This is Joe Person. I'm signing off. I'll catch you on the next ride.